Okay, this is the 2025 Flying Scot Nationals Race 2, and we're just a little over a minute from the start here. I feel like the team is fairly favored, and as we're coming in, you notice here in a couple of minutes, in a couple seconds here, that it looks like there's a big pile up down at the boat, and not many people at the pin. So now I'm second guessing my beliefs that the pin is favored. So I think the pin was favored for angle, but there was more pressure on the middle and the right side of the course. That's why I think there's a lot of people down near the boat. So we're going to roll into a tack here. I should have stayed on port tack and got up to the line a little bit closer to the line, because I ended up being a little late here. So we tack back to starboard, and I'm basically close hauled here on starboard, and it's really hard for us to get to the line. So coming 765, we're already close hauled. I'm out on the main just a little bit to build speed after that tack in this light air. I think we had one person over on this start, but you can see there's hardly anybody down here at the pin. In our last video, we saw Bruce Kitchen start at the boat, have a perfect start at the boat. Now we've got him at the Nationals, port tacking the fleet, which is pretty impressive. So it ended up being, the pin was favored for angle for sure. But we're going to see here in a minute that the people that started at the boat end, that got a good start down there, really did well. And that's because I think there was just a lot more pressure down at the boat. This starting line was really long. And you can see a couple people coming from the boat end of the line that are pretty far up the course. We'll see them up the course a little bit better here in a minute.
Tim, can we cross?
So I just asked Tim 5064 if we could cross, and I finally determined that I think we're clear. The angle of the camera on these videos is a little deceiving, so he's a little closer than it seems in the video. So we do a nice heel roll tack, but I've got some starboard boats coming, and I don't have any rights here on port.
Cross, thank you.
Yep, so we asked these guys if we could cross, and that's not an official thing, but he didn't want us lee bowing him, right? If he wanted to keep going that way, the last thing he wanted was us to lee bow him. So if you want to keep going the way you're going, just wave the competitor across. But you can see this green boat up here. He started at the boat, full speed, no one to leeward of him, got a great start, and you can see he's gotten out there pretty good. But look at the boats far on the right. There was a bunch of boats that actually started on port at the boat. They didn't have great starts, but they got out to that right side with more pressure, and they are just way out there right now. You can see how far up the course they are already. So this is Gybe Ames in this 4538 here. Nice soft lead bell on him. We would have had an issue. I'm sure we couldn't have crossed him. But you can see there's not a ton of boats out to the right, but it does feel like, out to the left here, but it does feel like there's lefties. So we're continuing out to the left side. Now Dave and we have this Gybe Ames 4538, same sails, we both have pretty good boats, both decent sailors, and you can see we just climbed to weather on him a little bit here, and I can only attribute that to the fact that we're a decent amount lighter than him, and we're fully powered up, hiking hard here, and I'm sure those guys aren't they're sitting up on the rail right now, but they're not hiking hard. The fact that we're probably depowering some and able to feather a little more is why we were able to work up on them just a hair here. But take a note of that jib halyard tension. Got a couple wrinkles there. You can see them luffing a little bit to try to stay out of my bad air, but the inevitability happens here and he tacks away. I think Tyler's coming next. So this is Tyler and Carrie. They got second in the regatta. Their jib halyard's a little bit looser. You can see that boy hiking hard. They also have mad sails on. And so the other guys, Dave Ames and Tyler, they were 1-2 for the regatta and the nationals. They're on port going that way, so we're going the same way as them. Thought we'd speed up this long tack. These legs in the nationals were very long, so sped some of that up a little bit. I think we were over a mile for our upwind legs, 1.1 maybe, 1.2 in decent winds. So I think this is Tyler coming back. We both put in one tack, and you can see I was a little bit left of him, and we're a little bit farther ahead than we were before. And we both tacked once since the last time we crossed. So it feels like there's a little more pressure, a little bit more lefty on the left. That's Bruce right there in 6130. He's not as far ahead as he was. He was really way out there initially. So it's interesting how this develops. There's a lot of back and forth. And the pink numbers ahead of us, they were down at the boat end, and I believe they were OCS, so they actually at the boat end restarted and still ahead of us. Now here we just got a big lift. I don't know if you noticed on the cloud, we just got a big lift there and we tacked. That was probably not the best decision in the world, and I dropped the main sheet, which shows my inexperience skippering. I still don't have that. Still don't have tacking down perfect. So Bruce and Sally, I believe, just had a port starboard there. You can see Bruce tack back onto starboard. Tim doesn't think he can cross, so he tacks low. This is the green boat that I mentioned earlier. So he got farther out to the left, and now he's behind us. So that's interesting to note that you can't go too far left or you get hurt. So I think it's about time to flop back to starboard. To port. It does, I believe, port tack was long on this upwind leg for us. Probably those guys on the far right, the same as well. A couple boats tacking to weather of us. Now this makes me a little nervous because I don't want him footing down on me and giving me bad air and then trapping me and me not being able to tack. So, yeah. I definitely let that main out too far in that tack. I gotta add some improvements. Gotta do a little bit better on that. I need to ease a couple feet, but not 8 feet. This is another fairly long port tack here. But you can see the guys far right, they are out there pretty good, and it seems like they're ahead of everyone. Darn hat of that hooded t-shirt. It stays on the hats really well on some hats, but not so good on other hats. This hat is not as good. Look at that. If you look at the tack of my main, I probably could use another click up on the main halyard, but it was light air at the beginning of the regatta, and I certainly didn't want to be over halyarded in light air. But you can see those boats way out on the left now look great, but I think that goes away for them. I'm not sure about that. Anyway, that halyard, yeah, it does look like it's down a little bit, and probably needed to be up 1, maybe 2 more clicks up on the main halyard. Can't remember who's coming here. I think that might be Dave Ames. Looks like we got across pretty easy there. Yeah. So, we were right with Dave. He had to tack away, he fell into us before, and he's maybe a little bit farther behind us than he was before, which is kind of interesting. It's just telling me that you really got to play the shifts on this leg. But port was long for sure. That's Tim to weather of us. And I think we're closing the gap on him, and I know I could hear his boat. That's a little bit of what we're talking about. I don't want him, putting across my bow and giving me bad air, so I'm a little nervous. At some point I'm talking about keeping the bow down and moving as fast as I can here. You can see he's a little closer to us than he was, but they're significantly heavier than Joel and I as well. So here's some of these guys coming back from the right-hand side of the course. You can see they're pretty far ahead. But the guy way out on the left is pretty far ahead too. So which side was favored? I don't know. I think, Bruce had that great port tack start at the pin. I think we ended up in front of him at the windward mark, which, yeah, it was kind of crazy, pretty shifty. I think the whole regatta was like that. It's Draheim right there, doing well. I don't think we saw him before now, so he must have come out of the right-hand side too. So here we're gonna duck. This creates a problem with the next boat. The next boat is Jeff and Amy. So trim back in here. Good speed. Can we cross? Can we cross? Yeah, that's pretty close. That's maybe too close. I think he gifted me one. Thanks, Jeff. Amy, appreciate that. That was, a little scary. Port tack lay line here. Or starboard tack lay line, sorry. Screwed up my tacks. Yeah, so that's Bruce right there, 6130. He had that port tack at the pin, and it was shifty. This whole regatta was like this. If you were in phase with the shifts, you really made out. There was a lot of opportunity to make out. And we're going to see that. Yeah, we'll see that later in the race here too. My battery does run out on this downwind leg, so we're only going to get this upwind leg and then the downwind leg. So here's Jeff and Amy coming back. And that's Draheim right in front of us here. See that port or starboard tack lay line just piling up there. Bearing away with a few people. I think we get to the windward mark. I think we were in 7th here. Get to the windward mark, bear away. Not sure if we should jibe set. Port tack is the long tack, so that really means a bear away set to me. And I let the main all the way out, and I shouldn't have. Look at it luffing right there. No speed as a result. It's easy to critique afterwards, that's for sure. Our board is still down. Pulling up that center board is the lowest priority, man. Getting the sails in perfect shape and boat balanced right. Not Draheim yelling at me to go down, but I don't want to be in, I don't think that's Jeff and Amy behind us. I don't want to be in their bad air, so I gotta keep it up a little bit. Chipping us on the blue kite behind us. Okay, we got some people driving away. I'm really can't figure out why these people are driving away, to be honest. Here, I'm finally now pulling the board out. Finally settled, we're sitting on the high side. It's pretty well balanced. So those lead boats that jibe first, looks like one of the ones way over on the left there. Looks like he came back and he's on starboard drive now. And so this, the Okay, I want to point out, okay, the yellow spin, that's Dave Ames, he finished first in this regatta, or in this race, sorry. And this left side over here, as we're looking at that left side, you really could see some pressure if you got out there. You see these guys roll into us here and really close the gap. But that left side has pressure over there. You get way over there and there's a lot of pressure. And on the second downwind leg, these races were 5 legs, 3 upwind legs, so we finished upwind. But that left-hand side really had lots of pressure. And on the second downwind leg, David Ames and Bruce Kitchens were over there in a big puff of air. And they were really screaming, but I thought to myself, I'm like, I don't have to worry about them because they were, not this downwind leg, but the next one. You know, they had to sail dead downwind to get to the mark. I mean, they were bared away on starboard, but in tons of pressure way over there. And I didn't put that all together at the time in my head that, oh, there's a big lefty over there. And here comes the infamous ninja kick Gybe by Amy. I'm so glad I got a close-up of this. I think there's a video online that Eric Lassell might have done with this Gybe kick. So she kicks with her foot, kicks the guy out of the guy hook, and now she's moving the pole over. That's pretty impressive. So we're just about at the end. My battery runs out here. I think I only have about 20 seconds left. But as I scroll back here, you know, that left side really worked out well on the next downwind leg, and then the final upwind leg, since it was a big lefty over there on the left and lots of pressure, Bruce and Dave Ames went hard over there and ended up winning. So the yellow spinnaker, Dave Ames, finished first in this race.